welcome back to Gapey's Garden. It's the middle of October and not a whole lot left in the garden. This here is the in-ground garden that I have, and all that's left here is some cabbage that I've been letting the chickens nibble on. So they've pretty much eaten all the exterior leaves off of it, but the middle is still pretty intact. And then next to that we have some papalo. I have two of those over here. That's a Mexican herb that's kind of similar to cilantro. It's got a really strong flavor, so you only need a little bit when you use it. And then we've also got some romaine lettuce back here, and one kohlrabi that I just didn't have room to put with the others. So this is getting covered when I let the chickens out so they don't eat it all, so I've been covering it with this plastic here. And then we've also got surprisingly, some zucchini still growing here, and there's just a few in there. It's been raining a lot, so I'm not expecting it to last too much longer. And the chickens, I think, have been nibbling on some of that as well. And then we also have some flowers still in here, some borage there, and some California poppies there. And we also have cosmos, which are looking like they're almost done here. But you can see all this stuff that's sprouting, that's all borage. So it's not going to get very big because it's too late in the season, but that's all volunteers from probably earlier in the year. And let's go over to the raised beds now. Say hi to the chickens. So this is the raised bed that I have some random romaine lettuce growing in, and I've got them covered with this fencing to keep the chickens out because I've been letting them free range around the garden. And then this is the fennel. I left two fennel plants, that one there and that one there, in the garden because I wanted to get some seeds out of them, but it's been so rainy that they just haven't had a chance to dry. So this is the seeds. They're starting to form, but I don't know if we'll get a chance to have them dry here outside. So I might try bringing some inside to see if they'll dry. I'm not sure if they're mature enough or not, but it's worth a try. So we'll see what happens. And then here's some more lettuce back here. And then we have one vine, well actually it's I think 6 vines or so back here of beans. And there's two different varieties back here. One is Papaderola, the one here on the right, I think this one here. And since it's been so wet, these haven't had a chance to dry. But these ones that are more yellowish, those are pretty much ready to harvest, and they can finish drying those inside. But these are, I think this one is, it's called Homestead, something Homestead, but it's a nice white bean. So I'm gonna pick all the ones that are yellow and try and get those to dry inside. And that's it for this bed. Oh, and I had some buckwheat growing in here as a cover crop, so I've already chopped that down. So that's what all this chopped stuff up here is the buckwheat. So it started flowering, so that's when you want to chop it down and I just let it sit on top to decompose. All right, let's go check out this other bed over here. So this bed has the most stuff in it. So I have it covered with a hoop house to keep the chickens out. And this here is a ivory Gaia melon. So the vines have already completely died, but there's some melons that might be harvestable. So I'm gonna be picking some of those here pretty soon. Oh, there's a mushroom growing next to that one. I think they're supposed to get a little bit wider, so I'm not sure if they're ready or not, but I need to pick them before they go completely bad. And then we've got some beans, bush beans. This is where the garlic grew this year. So as soon as I harvested the garlic, I started growing these bush beans. So we have borlotti beans, which I harvested a bunch of yesterday. So I'm not sure there's too many on the bushes right now. But we also have some other varieties. Can't remember. I think this is the jade bean. So we've got some of those, and then we also have a couple others back there. I got all of these from seed swaps, so you can see a bunch of beans back there as well that are ready to harvest. And then this is the Calabrese cabbage. I don't typically grow cabbage, but I thought I'd give it a try just for fun. And it doesn't do really great here. You can just see a bunch of little small heads, but I did harvest a fairly decent sized head on that yesterday, and the rest of them have a little bit of ways to go. And this is another row of cabbage, and this one isn't doing quite as well as the other row. And then we have some more kohlrabi here. And there's a couple, these are pretty small, but this is a green variety. I grew a purple variety in the summer. The green is supposed to taste better from what I've heard, so we'll see. And then this is a kale, one of the kale varieties I have growing here. And then there's a purple curled kale, which is one of my favorites. And we've got a big dinosaur kale back there that I started in the spring, and it's just gotten pretty big, and I've been feeding most of that to the chickens actually. And we have one purple Napa cabbage left, and it's doing actually pretty good, but the one next to it, there's a green one, a green Napa cabbage, is not doing so good. I think it's from all the rain we've been getting. Oh, and I also have some scallions. These are purple scallions that I have growing in here. And let's see, right next to that bed I have the blueberries, and they're starting to get a really pretty color. So some varieties get a lot better color than others. So that's pretty, that one's probably the prettiest one. We have another one back here that's turning red. And we've also got a rhubarb in here. So this rhubarb has been going all year long, and it's not in a very good place because it's kind of crowding out the blueberries. You can see this one here, this leaf. It's kind of going into the blueberries, so I need to trim this back and probably move it. And also in this bed over here we have some Blue Vates curled kale right there. And then in this bed, this is where some of the tomatoes were, and all that's left now are some flowers. So these are some zinnias here, and this is an edible chrysanthemum. Oh, there's a little pollinator on that one. And also some marigolds. So this is a single petal marigold. That's pretty cool. I like it a lot. I think it's called a Mexican variety. And then this one is a more full, your traditional kind of marigold. And here's another edible chrysanthemum. This one has kind of a bicolor flower. That's pretty neat. And then this is my monster zinnia. These blooms just get really big. I like those a lot. And this is another bed where the tomatoes were. These were the cherry tomatoes, and all that's left in here again is just the same types of flowers that are in the other bed. Oh, also in this bed back here, we have this one's not looking so good. Maybe we can save some beans off of this one, but this is the Chinese long bean. The leaves are completely pretty much dead, but there's some beans on here that look like they're still good, so I could probably harvest some of these, and they're still looking pretty good. And then down below there in between is beets. So I have some golden beets in here that are kind of overdue for harvesting. You can see how big that beet is, so hopefully it's still good and not too woody. And we've got our chives over here that haven't died back yet. And we have some carrots that have been in the ground since, like, I think March. So you can see, let me just pull one out and show you. This one's not too bad. I've had some really big ones that I pulled out earlier. That looks like a big one here. Just pull that one out. Yeah, so this one's the Amarillo. It's a yellow variety. And then this is the Nantes, which is a nice orange, really flavorful carrot. I really like that one. But they both get really big and don't get woody at all, which is really nice. And then behind me is the herb bed. We have some really nice looking sage. We have two types. There's this one. Actually, I think this is a different one. This one might be a different one than this one. It's got kind of thicker leaves. And then we've also got a variegated variety. And behind that is that's a golden oregano, but it doesn't get very yellow when it's not sunny out. So it's been really kind of cool and rainy, so it's gotten green again. And then we have a anise hyssop there, and I just cut this back. So this used to be really tall and it went to flower, but now it's got some new growth that's just starting to come back up. And we also have some lemon thyme that's right back here. And all these are perennials that I've showed you so far, so they'll come back next year, hopefully. And there's this rosemary, which I planted last year, and it's grown quite a bit since then. And then a lavender here, which I trimmed back, and that was also planted last year. And then this is the only annual that's in here. This is a parsley, which will probably die back here before too long. And then I have, again, lots of borage growing back here wild. And some sunflowers, which are pretty much dead. And I'm not sure, it's been so wet that I'm not sure we'll get any seeds or not. Let's see, oh, looks like we might get some seeds off of this one. So I should probably give that to the chickens before the birds eat them. And the only other thing we have here is the golden raspberries. So you can see some back there, back here. So this is a ever-bearing variety. So they grow berries pretty much all year, starting in the spring. And they're actually pretty tasty. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's in the garden right now. We also have stuff in the greenhouse, but I'll show you that stuff later. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon.